We are proud to be sponsored by Kiteworks, a secure content platform for CMMC compliance. Kiteworks is FedRAMP Moderate authorized and helps accelerate your path to CMMC 2.0 compliance. Did you know Kiteworks puts defense contractors on the fastest path to meeting CMMC 2.0 requirements, leveraging the same zero trust framework guidance used for federal requirements? Kiteworks supports nearly 90% of the security requirements for CMMC 2.0 Level 3. This can drastically reduce the effort and costs associated with obtaining CMMC 2.0 authorization. What's really cool to us is Kiteworks has an ongoing bounty program and regular penetration testing to minimize vulnerabilities along with one-click appliance updates. Kiteworks provides unparalleled ease of use with its intuitive web UI, mobile apps, and even Outlook integration. This user-friendly experience avoids productivity disruptions during your CMMC 2.0 implementation. Accelerate your CMMC 2.0 compliance and address federal zero trust requirements with Kiteworks' universal, secure file sharing platform made for defense contractors. Visit kiteworks.com to get started. That's kiteworks.com to get started today. Imagine you're a business leader constantly striving for success and innovation. You're well-versed in market trends, always looking for the next big opportunity. The world of cryptocurrency catches your eye like it has so many others. In the dynamic world of finance, cryptocurrency emerges as the beacon of high returns and the promise of a futuristic financial revolution. It promises not only high returns, but it seems to be the future of finance. But with great potential comes great risk. You've got to navigate these waters cautiously, and you need to understand the potential pitfalls to avoid falling victim to cybercrime, scams, pyramid schemes, Ponzi schemes, or even worse. This is the story of the rise and fall of OneCoin and the hunt for Ruja Ignatova. Come join us as we go behind the scenes of today's most notorious cybercrime. Every time we get online, we enter their world. So we provide true storytelling to raise awareness, interviewing global leaders making an impact and improving our world, translating cybersecurity into everyday language that's practical and easy to understand. We appreciate you making this an award-winning podcast by downloading our episodes on Apple and Spotify and subscribing to our YouTube channel. This is Cybercrime Junkies, and now the show. In the mid-2010s, the world of cryptocurrency was rapidly evolving. Bitcoin had captured the imagination of millions, presenting an opportunity for significant financial gain. Many were trying to invest in the next big thing. Enter Dr. Ruja Ignatova and OneCoin. Captivated by Dr. Ruja's impressive credentials and charismatic presentations, investors were drawn into the world of OneCoin, the promise of a revolutionary cryptocurrency that's accessible to everyone through a mobile app, online, available anywhere, and not just the tech savvy. It really appealed to people. It was the newest crypto coin to end all other coins. It was even called the Bitcoin killer. There are over 12,000 different types of cryptocurrencies back then, and nothing was supposed to be like OneCoin. And in the end, nothing was. This OneCoin and this offering and the way it was positioned was poised to break all of the records and to bring great fortune to tens of thousands of people across the globe. It was set to revolutionize the cryptocurrency market, promising staggering returns for investors. So what do people always tell us when it sounds too good to be true? It probably is. But when people would research the background and the credentials of those involved, they were impeccable. Dr. Ignatova's charisma and persuasive prowess drew in investors from all over the world. OneCoin events were lavish, characterized by Ignatova's dramatic entrances and bold, massive proclamations. She painted a picture of a future where OneCoin would dominate global finance, urging people to invest heavily. By leveraging various marketing strategies and multi-level marketing techniques, OneCoin expanded rapidly, attracting over $4 billion in investments. And the people that were investing were just like you and me. They were investing their 401ks, they were investing their savings, they were elderly, they were bright people that had good jobs that were banking on everything to seize the moment. The OneCoin website was filled with information about the company's mission, its founder, Dr. Ruja Ignatova, and the unique advantages of OneCoin over all other cryptocurrencies. The website was polished, professional. It featured sleek graphics, compelling videos of Dr. Ruja speaking at various events. Her credentials were impressive. Check this out. She had a doctorate in law, a master's degree in economics, and had a notable positive stint at McKinsey and Company. Dr. Ruja's confident demeanor and eloquent speeches convinced so many people that she was a visionary leader with a solid plan to democratize finance through OneCoin. One of the advantages of cryptocurrency is it democratizes financing, and OneCoin was suitable for those who were non-technical and didn't normally delve into cryptocurrency. OneCoin seminars were incredible. The events were held regularly in major cities around the world, attracting thousands of investors. One seminar was held at a prestigious hotel in New York City. When people would arrive, they would be struck by the sheer scale of the events. Ballrooms were packed with people from all walks of life, from young tech enthusiasts to seasoned investors. The atmosphere, people described at these events as electric, buzzing with anticipation. That's the phrase that they would use. Seminars would begin with a series of presentations by high-ranking OneCoin representatives. They would speak of the history of money, the evolution of cryptocurrency, and the unique benefits that OneCoin offered. According to the speakers, OneCoin was not just another cryptocurrency, though. It was a revolutionary financial system that would provide banking services to the unbanked, particularly in developing countries. The promise of financial inclusion resonated deeply with a lot of people, especially those who always believed in the power of technology to drive social change. More and more research that investors would do would convince them to even commit more funds. Over weeks and months, countless investors would scour the internet for information on OneCoin. They found numerous articles praising Dr. Ruja Ignatova, her innovative approach to cryptocurrency, and there were glowing reviews from industry experts and endorsements from well-known figures throughout the financial world in almost every country that they tagged. The company's promotional materials were ubiquitous, appearing in financial magazines, online ads, and even billboards in major cities. OneCoin's marketing strategy was really, really effective. They positioned itself as a legitimate, groundbreaking financial venture, backed by a solid team of professionals. Dr. Ruja Ignatova's frequent appearances at international conferences, her interviews with prominent media outlets added to the credibility and the believability of people were really impressed by articles in respected financial journals that described OneCoin as a game changer in the cryptocurrency market. Convinced by overwhelming positive feedback, many investors decided to attend even other OneCoin events. One massive one was held in London. The event was even more extravagant than the one in New York. It was held at a historic venue. It featured decorative stage setups, multimedia presentations, pyrotechnics, and star-studded lineup of speakers. The highlight of the event was Dr. Ruja's keynote speech. After the seminar, various investors had the opportunity to network with other attendees, network with OneCoin representatives. People were able to meet individuals who shared their success stories, recounting how their investments in OneCoin had yielded incredibly positive and significant financial returns. All of these testimonials, combined with Dr. Ruja's convincing presentations, left people feeling really optimistic and excited about the potential of OneCoin. So who is Ruja Ignatova? Ruja Ignatova was born in Bulgaria on May 30th, 1980. She was born in a town called Ruse. She immigrated to Germany with her family when she was 10, and she spent a lot of her childhood in Schramberg in the state of Baden-Württemberg. She got a BA from Oxford, and in 2005, she earned a PhD in private international law from the University of Constance. She also worked for McKinsey & Company, which is a very well-known global management consulting firm, founded way back in 1926 by University of Chicago professor James McKinsey. And for those who may have remembered McKinsey, it's been associated with a few newsworthy events like the collapse of Enron in 2011, the 2008 financial crisis, and others. Ignatova was an attorney and was married to a German lawyer with whom she had a daughter in 2016. Victims started to mount, though. One victim was named Jen McAdam, and there was a documentary on BBC. Check it out. We'll have links in the show notes. Jen McAdam told BBC that back then she and her friends and her family threw $250,000 of their life savings, all of them pooled together, all into OneCoin. Ms. McAdam said it all started from a friend's message about an unmissable investment opportunity. Sitting at her computer, she's from Glasgow, she clicked on a link and joined a OneCoin webinar. Over the next hour or so, she listened carefully to people talking enthusiastically about the new exciting cryptocurrency, how it can transform her fortune. All of them were very upbeat tempo, full of beans, full of passion. Miss McAdam said, "You're so lucky that you're seeing this webinar right now. You're in such an early stage, and it's going to be bigger than Bitcoin. It's going to be so much bigger." Miss McAdam said it took her months to realize that it wasn't what it seemed. As the victims started to mount, the lifestyle of Ruja Ignatova and the other founders, which included her brother and the face of Bitcoin, which was this Sebastian Greenwood, their lifestyles became insanely lavish. Court records now show that she lived a lavish lifestyle while an alleged fraud was going on in the background. She steered vast amounts of all of the investments that were being done into OneCoin, into everything from real estate in Belgrade, Serbia, to racehorses in Abu Dhabi, in the UAE, United Arab Emirates, to an oil field in Madagascar. Reports say that a 4-bedroom luxury flat in London kept a number of fine artworks hidden in the apartment, including even a rare Andy Warhol piece. The property was purchased by a shell company. And the reason we're bringing up this property is it plays into the most recent news about her whereabouts. This property in London was purchased by a shell company in 2016, which kept the crypto queen's name out of the picture. Just before she leased the London flat, she pled guilty to a German bankruptcy case. Her former attorney today is now accused of money laundering after transferring over $20 million in order to finance the property. He played a crucial role by issuing legal opinions claiming that OneCoin was legitimate back in 2014. The German lawyer's office Bredenbach Rosenweit in 2014 helped legitimize the idea that OneCoin was a valid and reputable cryptocurrency, even though it didn't have blockchain or any similarities to any blockchain technology. Most countries, this is what they wrote. Most countries have recognized cryptocurrencies as a bona fide commodity, which may be held and traded by their citizens, the law firm said. In our opinion, the OneCoin is a legitimate product, limited to 2.1 billion coins, the law firm added back in December of 2014. For a peak period, all of these investors saw their account funds with OneCoin within their account platform on OneCoin skyrocket, right? In a short time, many of them saw their investments double. OneCoin kept growing fast, and Dr. Ruja started to spend her new fortune. She bought multi-million dollar properties, not only in the places that we've talked about, but also throughout the Bulgarian capital of Sofia, as well as the Black Sea resort of Zazopol. And in her downtime, she would throw lavish parties on a luxurious yacht called the Divina. At one, in July 2017, American pop star Bebe Rexha performed on a private set for them. Things could not have been going better until they weren't.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Ever see a data breach in the news and think, what does this mean for me? Or what should my organization do because of that breach? Well, cybercrime junkies, we've got exciting news. We all know stories help spread security awareness. So July 1st, we launched season 5 of our podcast with a fresh, exciting twist. Cyber Flashpoints. These will be your go-to source for short segments. You'll see all the ways that storytelling helps you understand cybersecurity and how a podcast can even help keep businesses safe online. Come join us for season 5 and our new Cyber Flashpoint. Hey, before you go, did you know that over 80% of our YouTube viewers don't subscribe to our channel? What is the deal with that? It's free. We don't sell your data, contact you, or spam you. So do us a very important favor. This really matters to us because it's all about that algorithm. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Cybercrime Junkies Podcast, right there on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and let's make season 5 the best ever. See, the hidden secrets about Ruja that people didn't know about are some of these. In 2012, she was convicted of fraud in Germany in connection with her and her father, Plumman Ignatova's acquisition of a company that shortly afterwards was declared bankrupt with very skeptical circumstances. She was given a suspended sentence of 14 months imprisonment, meaning that she had jail hanging over her head. If she violated anything, she would have to go serve 14 months in jail. But that didn't seem to stop her. The following year, in 2013, she founds OneCoin. As OneCoin's popularity soared, so did the suspicions. Blockchain experts and whistleblowers like Bjorn Björk and Jen McAdam began to uncover the fraudulent nature of it. Unlike legitimate cryptocurrencies, OneCoin lacked genuine blockchain, an essential technology for ensuring transparency and security in digital currencies. Despite these red flags, Ignatova's influence kept many investors. There was a report that was discussed in various research findings that we came across. It was a report from a respected blockchain analyst who concluded that OneCoin was like a Ponzi scheme. The report detailed how OneCoin's business model relied on recruiting new investors to pay returns to earlier investors. That's the definition of, rather than generating revenue through legitimate business activities. The Direct Selling Association in Norway called the OneCoin fraud a pyramid scheme back in March 2016. Later that year, the Hungarian central bank claimed that OneCoin was also a pyramid scheme. And then there were some mysterious deaths, and the walls began to tumble down. There was a warrant filed for Ruja's arrest in 2017. Her brother Constantine replaced her as the face of the company, and the co-founder, Sebastian Greenwood, wound up arrested in 2018. Constantine ran when the walls started coming down and law enforcement started to make arrests, but he was ultimately arrested in 2019. So what about all the people that lost the money? Well, there were many of them that have attorneys and that have filed claim after claim with the Bulgarian government, asserting that they're not doing enough to seize the assets. There's several aspects of civil litigation that are going on trying to seize the assets so that they can mitigate some of the losses. There is also the mysterious death of 2 OneCoin representatives, and those were pretty recent, just in 2022. OneCoin advocates were found dead and murdered in Mexico. 2 promoters of OneCoin were found in the Mazatlan, Mexico area. Oscar Bria Ibarra and Ignacio Ibarra, 2 major promoters of OneCoin, were kidnapped and killed, according to Latin America publication La Tercera. According to the report, the 2 men were promoting OneCoin as a payment method for a local car firm, a local automobile company. But on June 20th, 2020, the 2 traveled to Mexico to promote a scam by offering discounts for making the purchase of vehicles with OneCoin. They were allegedly suffocated to death, and their bodies were stuffed into suitcases and dumped in a vacant lot. Significantly, the OneCoin scam was well known at the time, and arrests had been publicized before the time that Oscar Brito Ibarra joined OneCoin and began promoting it. According to a report, the promised cars, though, were never delivered, despite the 2 men continuing to promote the scam across and throughout Latin America. Many speculate that local cartels were involved in the murder, because there had been over 140 people in Argentina, for example, that had been scammed by the OneCoin scheme by the end of 2019, with some of them having lost $400,000 each, all good grounds for murder. Soon as the walls began coming down, the FBI and the Bulgarian government and Europol, the OneCoin offices were raided. And it was learned that, in fact, there was no blockchain, and a lot, if not all, of the money had been missing. The accounts in the system and in the platform had all been fraudulent. So what does this remind you of? Well, for regular listeners of our podcast, it reminds us a lot of Jerry Cotton and Quadriga exchange in Canada. It's very similar, meaning they were taking in all the money through proprietary exchange. And when you looked on your account in the exchange, it looked really good. But it was very similar to kind of the reports that Bernie Madoff would even issue to investors. But it wasn't real, right? It was still all being taken for personal use. And that's, the lack of blockchain, which is where you're able to objectively see the math transaction and trace it back. That's the heart of any cryptocurrency. And it's the security behind it. It's the reality behind it. And the crypto exchange that it was hosted on, people couldn't even cash out their coins. People had invested thousands, millions, and actually combined over $4.5 billion in life savings into a crypto coin called OneCoin that never actually even existed. Think about it. Could they trade OneCoin? No. Was it listed on a standard exchange? No. Was there blockchain behind it? No. Was it real? No. So when we think about the inmost cave of OneCoin, the facade began really to crumble in 2017. Investigations revealed that OneCoin was a massive Ponzi scheme. Ignatova's partner, Sebastian Greenwood, wound up being arrested in 2018, and her brother, Konstantin Ignatova, who took over the company after Ruja Ignatova never showed up where she was supposed to be and has disappeared off the face of the earth. We're going to get into that in just a second. But Konstantin was also arrested and charged with fraud and money laundering. As the net closed in, Ruja Ignatova vanished, and she is vanished without a trace. She was scheduled to be at an event in Portugal. Her disappearance adds a layer of kind of mystery to an already kind of sensational story. Speculations about her fate range from hiding in plain sight to being murdered by a drug cartel, despite global efforts to locate her, including her addition to the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. She's in the top 10 of the FBI's most wanted list. And you have to realize who's on that top 10 list. People like Osama bin Laden are on that same list. There's a lot of people looking for her. Years pass, really, with no definitive information on her whereabouts. In early 2023, reports start to surface that she's been spotted alive. Documents linked to a London property purchase. Remember that property I mentioned earlier? They suggest that she was still maneuvering her financial empire from the shadows. The revelations brought renewed scrutiny and scope for justice among the victims of the OneCoin scam. And there's reasons behind it. Because while there are some stories that were brought out in a podcast and a documentary about some drug lords talking about, she was as good as dead, and they believe she had been murdered off some yacht and her body dismembered. The truth is since then, there have been major property movements, which, because of the new laws now, disclose her whereabouts and show that she is still alive and scurrying, right? And we believe because of that, you see federal international law enforcement now tightening the reins and offering more money, significantly more money, for information leading to her arrest. The reemergence of Ignatova posed critical questions about the effectiveness of international financial regulations and law enforcement. How can a person responsible for one of the largest financial frauds in history remain at large still years later? The resurgence of interest in her, it highlights the need for greater vigilance and coordination in combating global financial crimes. When we think of Ruja on the run, she went underground in 2017, just at the time when law enforcement was starting to get wind of all the companies and what they'd been doing. She was due to attend an event in Lisbon, but instead she, for some reason, boards a plane to Athens, Greece, and then disappears. And she's never been seen in public since. Her closest confidant, her boyfriend at the time, was even allegedly cooperating with authorities. Her brother Konstantin was indicted and detained in the U.S. after being investigated by the FBI. He was arrested on March 6, 2019 at the Los Angeles airport. He was charged with wire fraud conspiracy stemming from his role. He was later released in prison on a $500,000 bond, which made a lot of people wonder and speculate, because how could a $500,000 bond be issued when there's $4 billion of hard-earned funds and retirement funds and people's life savings missing? He wound up pleading guilty to multiple felonies. Later on that year in 2019, he was free on bond and was awaiting sentencing. He has since been sentenced and then released after serving his time. He agreed to testify against others, and it's leading to several other arrests. And then there's Sebastian Greenwood. Carl Sebastian Greenwood, a marketing specialist for OneCoin. I mean, he even still has a LinkedIn page. Just check it out. He's been facing jail in Manhattan and has since been sentenced. But he was the public face of OneCoin. He was the one on stage, when they have those massive events in London at Wembley. And for those, if you haven't checked those out on YouTube, when Ruja Ignatova comes on stage, they have all this pyrotechnics blowing up, and they're playing Alicia Keys' "This Girl Is on Fire." I mean, it's really pretentious. It's really, there's a lot of pomp and circumstance. Carl Greenwood was still even allegedly masterminding things, able to transfer while he's in custody. He was able to sneak in a burner phone and transfer $20 million worth of funds that should be going to victims, but away from accounts where victims could attach and into his personal accounts. He was aided by a network of lawyers and given a contraband cell phone. He went to trial, was found guilty, and was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison in the Southern District of New York, which is one positive note in this whole story. And they announced that Carl Sebastian Greenwood, when he was found guilty, who co-founded OneCoin with Ruja Ignatova, a.k.a. the Crypto Queen, was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Then the brother of Crypto Queen, Ignatova, was released from prison after spending 34 months behind bars for his role in the infamous scheme. Was once the de facto leader of OneCoin after his sister Ruja disappeared. He was handed a time-served verdict by the district court, Judge Edgardo Ramos, on March 6, 2024. So it was just a couple months ago. And the reason is because he's turned state's evidence, as they say, and he's going to cooperate. Constantine's testimony has already helped to prove OneCoin's lawyer, Mark Scott, guilty of fraud and money laundering. Scott received more than $50 million in compensation from helping in the OneCoin scam. U.S. Marshals have seized Scott's luxury automobiles, mansions, and yacht, and the attorney was disbarred and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Today, Ruja Ignatova remains on the FBI's 10 most wanted list, which she made that historic, achievement in her life in June of 2022. So she went missing in 2017, and it took 4 or 5 years before the FBI actually placed her on the FBI's most wanted list. FBI agent and spokesperson Mike Driscoll at the time stated, quote, "Our hope in that naming her to the top 10 most wanted fugitive list will draw attention to her and her alleged crimes." NBC News reported that back in June of that year. At a press conference, Damian Williams, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, called her, quote, "an international fugitive who allegedly masterminded a worldwide fraud," unquote. Williams said, quote, "She now sits side by side on the top 10 list with cartel leaders, murderers, and terrorists," unquote. But he adds, that's no act. Recently, as I mentioned, the FBI increased the reward from $100,000 to $5 million. The reward for information, I'm going to let you know about it, and I'm going to give you the number. If anybody that is listening, because we have listeners all over the globe, if anybody is listening that has information, turn it in. They will pay. We've seen it before. The reward for information leading to the arrest of Ruja Ignatova, known as the missing Crypto Queen, has been raised from $100,000 to $5 million in the past week. This is just a couple weeks ago, as we sit here today, the time of this recording, in 2024, by U.S. authorities. Dr. Ruja Ignatova presents herself as a well-educated, successful businesswoman with a Harvard degree and experience in top financial firms. Her credentials are impressive, lending credibility to her claims. She emphasized how OneCoin was different from other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, and that it was user-friendly, regulated, and designed to be accessible to everyone, not even just tech-savvy individuals. Documents shown to the Bureau of Investigation reporting, which is called BIRD, B-I-R-D. It's the Bureau for Investigative Reporting and Data, contained an agent report that alleged that Ruja Ignatova, the crypto queen, one of the two co-founders, that she was in fact killed on a yacht in Greece in November 2018. Her body was allegedly dismembered and tossed in the Ionian Sea. According to the report, the murderer actually was executed on behalf of Christoforos Taki Amatidis. He's an infamous drug lord. Everybody knows about him over in that part of the world. A Bulgarian national and a brother-in-law of Taki, as he's called, allegedly revealed this during a state of intoxication. He mentioned that she had been killed and tossed, but the new details that recently emerged in the New York Post and the BBC at the same time showed that Ignatova, who's been on the run since 2017, had resurfaced as the beneficial owner of real estate in the Kensington area of London. She reportedly was the owner of a shell company, which purchased the property, which we talked about just a little while ago, and listed her as the beneficial owner, meaning they have the shell companies that have the title and everything. But at the end of the day, who's the trust? Who's it for the benefit of? It's for somebody that didn't die years ago, right? Because they're still making moves on that property now. Okay, and only one person can be doing that. One person who remains hiding in the shadows. Ignatova reportedly came out of the woodwork to claim the property. In recent months, there's a penthouse apartment in London, suburb of Kensington, England, and went up for sale with an asking price of £12.5 million, which is $15.5 million right now, give or take. And it's understood that Ignatova had purchased it under a company name, but as a result, lawyers representing Ignatova made a formal claim on the property, listing her as the apartment's beneficial owner in a public legal filing with the United Kingdom's financial regulator. See, there's a change in the rule of England's Companies House, which is the UK equivalent of ASIC, ASIC. It forced Ignatova out of hiding as she had to be named in full rather than her shell company. The property belonging to the company was called Abbott's House Penthouse Limited, based in Guernsey, which is a well-known tax haven with very little government. It meant that Ignatova was kept out of the public records and land registry of deeds until recently. Prestige Property was the seller. Knight Frank advertised the property, but then they all swiftly took the listing down after it emerged that Ruja Ignatova had links to it. She's on the FBI's top 10 most wanted and or allegedly dead, right? And yet her property that only she controls is recently been listed and movements have been made and it had been publicly advertised for sale, all while she's able to hide behind the tax haven, but the rules changed. So that is really, really significant. You know, what we want to do is we just want to leave you with this. And there's going to be more on this topic as details come out. But if you have information that can aid to the arrest of Ruja Ignatova, you can submit a tip online at tips.fbi.gov, or you can call the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's 1-800-CALL-FBI. Thanks for listening, And thanks for being a cybercrime junkie. Well, that wraps this up. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our episode. The next one is coming right up. We appreciate you making this an award-winning podcast and downloading on Apple and Spotify and subscribing to our YouTube channel. This is Cybercrime Junkies, and we thank you for watching.